Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Bolo bolo. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Hare Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. जय गौरानिताय 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 जय गौरानिताय। जय जगन्नाथ बलदेव जय श्री सुभद्रा। जय राधा बल्लभ श्री राधे। जय राधा बल्लभ श्री राधे। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद। जय श्रीपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्रशत श्री श्रीमद् चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hi Gripu, can I get a mat? One mat, mat. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 7, Chapter number 9. Prahlad pacifies the Lord with prayers, verse number 2. Sakshat Shri Preshita Devair Sakshat Shri Preshita Devair Drishtva tam mahadadbhutam Drishtva tam mahadadbhutam Adrishta shruta purvatat Adrishta shruta purvatvat Sanopeya shankita Sanopeyaya shankita Shakshadrishi preshita devair Drishtva tam mahadadbhutam Adrishta shruta purvatvat Sanopeyaya shankita Shakshadrishi preshita devair Drishtva tam mahadadbhutam Adrishta shruta purvatvat Sanopeyaya shankita Drishtva mahadadbhutam Mataji. Sakha Shri Prashita Deva. Stop. Sakha Shri Prashita Deva. Drishtvatam Madhatputam. Adrishtashutam. Upayaya Sankita. Word for word meaning. Sakshat, directly. Shri, the goddess of fortune. Preshita, being requested to go forward before the Lord. Devai, by all the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Drishtva, after seeing. Tam, him, Lord Nrsimhadev. Mahat, very big. Adbhutam, wonderful. Adrishta, never seen. Ashruta, never heard of. Purvatvat, due to being previously. Sa, the goddess of fortune. Lakshmi. Na, not. Upayaya, went before the Lord. Shankita, being very much afraid. Translation. The goddess of fortune Lakshmi ji was requested to go before the Lord by all the demigods present, who because of fear could not do so. But even she had never seen such a wonderful and extraordinary form of the Lord, and thus she could not approach him. Can you repeat the translation? The goddess of fortune, Lakshmi ji, was requested to go before the Lord by all the demigods present, who because of fear could not do so. But even she had never seen such a wonderful and extraordinary form of the Lord, and thus she could not approach him. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord has unlimited forms and bodily features. Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadi, Ananta Rupam. These are all situated in Vaikuntha. Yet, Lakshmi Devi, the goddess of fortune, being inspired by Leela Shakti, could not appreciate this unprecedented form of the Lord. In this regard, Srila Madhvacharya recites the following verses from the Brahmanda Purana. Adrishtaruta purvatvad anye sadharanayarjane nishimham sankite varshri lokamohaya noyayo praharade chaiva vatsalya darshanaya harerapi gyatva manastatha brahma praharadam preyasastada ekatraika kasya vatsalyam visheshadrashayedhari avarasyapi mohaya kramenevapi vatsalaha. In other words, for the common man, the form of the Lord as Nrsimhadev is certainly unseen and wonderful. But for a devotee like Prahlad Maharaj, such a fearsome form of the Lord is not at all extraordinary. By the grace of the Lord, a devotee can very easily understand how the Lord can appear in any form he likes. Therefore, the devotee is never afraid of such a form. Because of special favor bestowed upon Prahlad Maharaj, he remained silent and unafraid, even though all the demigods, including even Lakshmi Devi, were afraid of Lord Nrsimhadev. Narayana para sarve na kutaschana bibhyate. Bhagavatam 6:17-28. Not only is a pure devotee of Narayan, like Prahlad Maharaj, unafraid of any dangerous condition of material life, but also, if the Lord appears to mitigate the fear of a devotee, the devotee maintains his status of fearlessness in all circumstances. Om Jnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuthapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine. Prabhu, can you turn that off? Blower. Hare Krishna. So we are entering into the climax of pretty much Lord Nrsimhadev and Prahlad's pastime. This whole chapter, a lot of amazing prayers will come from Prahlad. But before that, something very extraordinary is happening here, where we are at in the pastime. Yesterday we heard in the class that all the devatas, including Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, what to speak of other demigods, they were so fearful of this very wonderful form of Nrsimhadev that they could not even go near him. It was so fearsome that they didn't even attempt, what to speak of going near Nrsimhadev and then coming back. No one even bothered, because they had never seen such a fearful form, such a wonderful form, to say, of Lord Nrsimha, of their Lord and Master Lord Vishnu. So, Srila Prabhupada has given a very interesting lecture on this. Of course, Prabhupada talks about many different aspects, but one specific point he is mentioning, which is related to this purport, or this verse specifically, is Srila Prabhupada gives a whole analysis of how Narayan, who is the Supreme Lord, Lakshmi is always accompanying Lord Narayan, and they are inseparable. Lakshmi Devi, who is always with Narayan, and not even one Lakshmi, Lakshmi Sahasra Sata Sambrahma Sevemana. Hundreds and thousands of Lakshmis are always accompanying Lord, always waiting to serve him. And anyone who tries to separate Lakshmi from Narayan is destroyed. They are so close, they are so much together. And Ravan was a classic example who wanted to enjoy Mother Sita separate from Narayan. And many of these days so-called Ravanas, there's quite a bit of percentage we'll see in us also, where we try to enjoy material opulence or the energy of the Lord separate from the Lord. And badly we are either baffled or destroyed completely. So that is the position of Lakshmi Devi, who can in any condition not be separated from Narayan. Why? Because she is always with Narayan. Whether it's Sitaram, Lakshmi Narayan, Radha Krishna, all these forms, the Lord is not separate. But here, so Devatas were very intelligent. They were scared, even Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva. They knew if we cannot approach Narayan, definitely Lakshmi can go and pacify him. Because it's very important to visualize this scene, that when Nrsimhadev has appeared to protect Prahlad and Hiranyakashipu is giving him a fight, you can be angry and you can kill. And he did that. He fought and he killed Hiranyakashipu. But after the opponent is killed, and we saw in previous chapter how Nrsimhadev went and sat like a king on the throne of Hiranyakashipu, as if I am the master, that I am the ruling king now. Of course, he was taking the service of his devotee. But then the anger should pacify. But the anger did not pacify. Nrsimhadev was so angry, continuously roaring, that his anger just could not be contained. One pastime I was hearing from one sannyasi, and he was quoting some Acharya. I don't know whom he was quoting. I tried finding it out, but he was saying why Nrsimhadev did not appear. Okay, the deal was a man or an animal cannot kill Hiranyakashipu, but he came half man, half lion. So why Nrsimhadev did not take the lower body of lion and upper body of human, of a man? Why he chose to have face of Nrsimha, of lion, and just the claws? He could have done the other way also. Just the feet of lion and human like face, like his own Vaikuntha Nrsimha face. So then Maharaj was explaining that he could not have expressed his anger aptly in having a human like face. So to express his anger, to roar, to really express out how much upset he is if his devotee is disturbed, he appeared in this lion-like face. He chose this particular form. So now the Devatas have planned that we'll send someone who is always accompanying Narayan. And this is where we are at in this particular verse. And they request, Lakshmi ji, you go and you pacify him. Otherwise, things will not move on if Lord is not pacified. But Lakshmi Devi is bewildered on a different level altogether. She completely she also does not even attempt. Sometimes, there is a conflict between a husband or a wife, and husband is upset or angry with something. Wife may attempt to pacify, and the husband is still upset. She says, okay, you do what you want to do, I am leaving. But here Lakshmi Devi does not even attempt. Why? Because there is a very interesting word used here. Adrishta ashruta purvatvat. She has never heard or seen such a form before. She has never even heard about Nrsimhadev having such a form. Now, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives a very interesting point on this. He says that Lakshmi Devi has seen this form in previous kalpa. It's not that she is seeing this form for the first time. She has seen this form, but Prabhupada also mentions in one line in his purport, but the Leela Shakti of the Lord has covered Lakshmi Devi. Lord has many, many potencies. And one of his potencies is Leela Shakti, his pastime potency, where if Lord has to enjoy a certain pastime, everyone will, his Shakti will work in such a way that everyone will basically follow that whole trend. So in this particular Leela, Lakshmi Devi, who is inseparable from the Lord, who has seen this form before in previous kalpa, is practically bewildered. And she, through the potency of the Lord, she gets an impression that I have never heard or even seen this form before. So what is this particular form? It is too wonderful and it is too scary for me to approach. And then that's why Srila Prabhupada says, so no peyaya shankita. So out of fear, she does not even approach Nrsimhadev. Another point Srila Prabhupada makes in the lecture, which I found was very interesting. Prabhupada said, because Prabhupada makes a point that she knows this is my Lord who has appeared as Nrsimhadev, But now in this particular condition, in this particular form, she doesn't recognize him, that this can't be my husband, because I've never heard or seen this form. So as a chaste woman, she doesn't go close to Nrsimhadev. She doesn't go close to him. So he's making multiple points here. Of course, there's Leela Shakti working. Then there are 3 points actually. One is Leela Shakti working, so it appears that she has never seen this form. Other level, she doesn't want to approach another man because she's only attached to Narayan, even though she knows he is Narayan. So, but then another very interesting point that is made is that she is assisting in the pastime of the Lord, where Lord wants to be pacified by Prahlad, not by anyone else. So when the Lord wants to be pacified by Prahlad and by the amazing prayers Prahlad will offer, no matter who approaches him or who desires to pacify him will not be able to do so, because the Lord wants to be pacified by Prahlad. And that's why even in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, what to speak of any other Sampradaya, even in our Sampradaya, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has again and again heard these pastimes and prayers of Prahlad, because of this very amazing exchange between the Lord and his devotee Prahlad, where his most intimate Lakshmi Devi is also basically not allowed to pacify him. A very interesting whole Leela that is taking place here. So Srila Prabhupada continues the purport, and then he is quoting Madhvacharya, who is quoting Brahmanda Puran, which is explaining how Prahlad was not fearful. Prahlad was not fearful, even though the Lord is still very upset and very angry, but it did not instill fear in Prahlad, because first he knew very well that this particular form Lord has assumed to protect me. And naturally, out of his very strong devotion and pure love for Lord, he is not fearful. But on the other side, all the devatas and Lakshmi Devi also have pure love for Lord. So this is very interesting phenomenon that is taking place. Others are fearful, Prahlad is not fearful, and it's not that just only Prahlad is pure devotee and others are not. But somehow the Lord's energy is working in such a way that Prahlad is not at all fearful. And Prahlad very easily goes and approaches the Lord, and when Nrsimhadev sees Prahlad basically lying at his foot, paying dandavats, he very affectionately takes him on his lap, and the way he shows his affection is very much like a lioness type. Like we see how cow shows affection to the calf. Cow just licks. Cow just licks. So Nrsimhadev is showing affection to Prahlad like that, with his hands on his head and then licking him out of affection. Srila Prabhupada, now this is an exchange between Prahlad, where he is fearless, and his relationship with Nrsimhadev. But here we are listening this pastime, and we are dealing with fear on a different level. So Prabhupada did mention, towards the end of the purport, he says, not when he's quoting this particular verse which is happening between Parvati, Chitraketu and Lord Shiva in that pastime, Prabhupada quotes this verse, Narayana para sarve na kutaschana bibhyate, in 6th canto. That not only is a pure devotee of Narayan like Prahlad Maharaj unafraid of any dangerous condition of material life, but also if the Lord appears to mitigate the fear of a devotee, the devotee maintains his status of fearlessness in all circumstances. So now we are not in the stage of Prahlad in this material world, where we are experiencing the Lord in his fearful form and we show fearlessness. We have to show fearlessness on a different scale. We have to show fearlessness while dealing with material energy. So this verse, this particular verse of Narayana para sarve, to us it will apply how to be fearless while dealing with material existence. There is still some time for us to experience pastimes of the Lord, where we experience like Prahlad. So what causes fear? What causes fear for us as practicing devotees, or for people of this material world? And a very classic, simple, known to everyone answer is, especially devotees know this very, very, very clearly, is attachment. We all have attachments to this material world. We all have plans in this material world. We all have invested a lot of emotion, energies, money, time in everything material. And then, due to some contact with devotees and association of devotees, we are trying to undo it. All the investments we have done in this material world. So, which causes fear. Now, the fear of losing someone, the fear of losing position, the fear of losing a relationship, the fear of losing whatever we have is a very intense fear, actually speaking. And that's where a lot of, if you just go on YouTube and see, and you write how to overcome fear, hundreds and hundreds of videos by many different speakers from all walks of life have given their own ways of explaining how to overcome fear. There's one guy, is a Hollywood actor. He says the greatest fear existing on this planet is public humiliation. If publicly you're humiliated. For him, that's the greatest fear. And he says, but I have got enough of that. And I have grown from that. So now I am fearless because I don't have that fear. But that's not true. Public humiliation may not be the greatest fear. Actually, if you see, so many people have given their own analysis how to overcome fear, what is the greatest fear, and how to actually deal with it, and seminar after seminar, how to deal with fear, anxiety, depression. This is such a common seminar. You just see hundreds of them if you just search for it. So materially, we will see, if you see a person on the street who is beggar or who is a homeless person, does that mean he's fearless? Because the greatest fear of his life, which is public humiliation, he is every day he's being publicly humiliated. He's fearless now, and he only has little fears, and the greatest fear is gone. No, fear of losing what you are attached to is the greatest fear. That can be anything. It can be, for a child, it can be a toy, and for an adult, it can be family, relatives, position, power, money, whatever. Now, you can't tell a single person who has no job, no money, no bank balance. For example, someone is living in ashram, that your greatest fear will be losing property and money. He is not fearful. He doesn't have one. So the fear for a single man or for a brahmachari will be different. So whatever we are attached to, losing that is the greatest fear. And most of us are attached to this body and things connected and related to this body. So how to overcome that fear? How to overcome that fear? Few weeks before in ashram, we were just in our class, we were singing this bhajan. It's a very famous bhajan by Govinda Das Kaviraj. Bhajahu re mana Shri Nandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare Durlabha Manava Janama Satsange Taraho E Bhava Sindure. He is telling his mind, this is practically speaking to one's own mind, that just worship the lotus feet of Krishna. Bhajahu re mana, bhajan, do bhajan, O mind of Shri Nandana, of the Supreme Lord. Do bhajan of the lotus feet of son of Nanda. What it will do? Abhay charanara vindare. It will make you fearless. It will make one fearless. There is another very interesting verse. We'll come back to this bhajan again, because how to achieve it is the second line in this same bhajan. There is a verse in Bhagavatam, 1st canto, 7th chapter, verse number 7. It's a very famous shloka actually. Yasyam vaishruyamānāyam Krishne parama purushe bhaktir utpadyate pumsa shoka moha bhayapaha. It's glorifying the potency of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam and Krishna Katha. How by hearing about Krishna, something very interesting and very amazing and very powerful takes place in the heart. It says that simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, which is Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality Godhead, sprouts up at once. So just by hearing regularly about Krishna, from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam or similar literatures, the loving feelings of devotional service to Krishna sprouts within the heart at once. And what does it do? It extinguishes the fire of shoka, moha and bhaya, lamentation, illusion and fear. Lamentation, illusion and fear. These three fires which are burning all of us, which is actually pretty intense. If we see our lives is nothing but combination of these three things. For someone who is materially very badly stuck, they're constantly lamenting for what they don't have. They're completely attached to what they have, which is illusion, because it will be forcefully taken away. And there is a constant ongoing fear for losing everything that is around us or you are attached to. If we see our lives, it's nothing but a combination of these three things, packaged so nicely that it drives people crazy. It's pushing people to take decisions in life even after knowing these instructions. Why to go anywhere else? I talk about myself. Knowing all this, having heard it so many times, still many decisions we take in life which is against these principles because of the packaging. The material energy packages it so well that the expertise of material energy is such that it packages this illusion, lamentation and fearfulness which is inside the box so well that we pay our hard-earned money to go and buy it. We pay our hard-earned life, we pay our energies, we pay our time to go and buy these three things. So it's that amazingly packaged. And whoever can understand, whoever can see through the packaging, can actually see these three things in a way as a very naked reality of material existence. But how will it happen? That's where the second line of this Bhaja Hare Mana verse of the first stanza explains us how is it possible even for anyone to come to that conclusion. It says, Durlabha Manava Janama Sat-sange Tara ho e bhava sindhure. This very rare human form which is obtained, which is basically given to us to cross over this ocean of material worldly existence, it can only be done through the association of sadhu-sanga, association of saintly people. Otherwise it's not possible. All this big philosophy of being attracted to Krishna consciousness, being attracted to hearing about Krishna, engaging our mind in serving Krishna, thinking about Krishna all the time, engaging in the 9 process of bhakti. With this is the one bridge which connects us where we are at, fully attracted, spend all our time, energy, money to buy this package which is lamentation, illusion and fearfulness. And here this lifestyle of completely freed from material illusion, material lamentation and completely fearlessness, the bridge is sadhu-sanga, the association of devotees. Now fear in itself is not bad, because many fears are very, very helpful, very productive. Fear of losing service, fear of losing Krishna consciousness, fear of losing association of devotees. These are very good fears. Not every fear is bad. There are many fears which are very helpful in our devotional life. But what fear is bad is that fear which is enough, which is more than enough to keep us very much attached and connected and encouraged to keep searching a solution here in this material world. So that particular fear is a troublemaker. Sachidanand Maharaj quotes, gives a very he gives very simple statements sometimes, but they're very strong and very deep. So someone asked him this question, that Maharaj, how to overcome fear? We are devotees practicing for so many years. How to actually overcome it? So Maharaj did not even go to very heavy duty philosophy. He did not even go to meditation on Krishna, and he could have gone there, but maybe because based on the devotee whom he was speaking to, he kept it very simple, because the result is remembrance of Krishna. So Maharaj said, he quotes Ramanujacharya, and he says, Ramanujacharya says that even after practicing all the spiritual processes and all, if all of the spiritual practices failed you, if all the different practices of sadhana bhakti has failed you, that the sadhana bhakti has never failed us, it's just we have not done it properly, so you feel that the 9 limbs of devotional service are not working for me. If a devotee comes to that conclusion that this bhakti process is not working for me, what to do? So he quotes Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya says, just go to the association of Vaishnavas and just sit with them. He says, just sit with them, spend time with them. Why? Because that association is so powerful that it will give a very special gift of mati. What mati? The inclination for spiritual life. Many times as devotees we may feel, or like Prabhupada uses this word, spiritual life may feel hackneyed. It's just dragging. It just feels boring. It's just not going anywhere. Spiritual life. What to do? Just spend time with devotees and just sit with them. Sit and do what? When they talk about Krishna and when they serve Krishna, just observe them. And while I was reading this, it occurred to me that yes, if we see our day-to-day life now also, when we may not be at the stage where we are fully disappointed and discouraged and disheartened, we still take the same inspiration when we see devotees doing better. We still take the same inspiration when we see devotees serving Krishna nicely. When you go to the kitchen and there is someone who is really nicely cooking something for the Lord, it is very inspiring. When you even come to the temple room and you see someone chanting nicely, it is very inspiring. But what if someone has decided not to be with devotees? Then who will help? What if someone has decided to give up the association of devotees? Who will help? What will help? It is so risky. It is so very risky. Because there is a verse in 10th canto. It's Muchukunda Maharaj says, and there is a very interesting analysis, because Prabhupada didn't give purport to this particular verse, because this verse comes in the 51st chapter of Bhagavatam. I'll read the verse and then I'll tell you what amazing analysis Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives on that particular verse. So this is from 10th canto, 51st chapter, verse number 53. Bhavapa pargo brahmato yad bhawej janasya tarhi achyuta sat samagamaha sat sangamo yari tadaiva sat gatav paravareshatvai jayate matihi. When the material life of a wandering soul has ceased, O Achyuta, he may attain the association of your devotees. And when he associates with them, there awakens in him devotion unto you, who are the goal of the devotees and the Lord of all causes and their effect. So Muchukunda Maharaj is telling Krishna when he saw him, many prayers he offered, this is one of the prayers. He says that when the material life of a wandering soul, lifetime after lifetime, when this material search ceases, then the devotee attains the association of your devotees. Then this person attains the association of your devotees. And when he associates with with the devotees, naturally the result has to be that he will attain devotion to you. It is so natural. Many times people will ask this question. At least many times in the beginning stage, we also had this question in our mind. How will we ever get to the platform of pure devotion to Krishna? Now also we have this question. How will we ever have come to the platform of pure devotion to Krishna? And if you ask many senior devotees, this very common question, Maharaj, how to have that faith that Krishna is everything? Very simple answer they give is spend time with those who have faith. Just be with them who have faith. Just spend time with them who are practicing pure devotional service. If we just hear and spend some time with our spiritual master, there is something very, very extraordinary that happens. At least it lasts 1 or 2 days. But something very extraordinary happens. You just don't feel normal. Then in your day-to-day devotional life, you feel, okay, mechanically things are happening. But when you spend quality time with someone who is sincerely, very seriously practicing bhakti, something very different happens in the consciousness. That's what happens. That it naturally awakens our devotion to Krishna. Why? Because devotees are empowered. Even new devotees are empowered. Otherwise, how can they give Krishna? When sometimes a person who is a devotee from last 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, and they go and speak to someone new, they take up the process of bhakti. So Krishna has given some empowerment at least to that person. So what to speak of someone for whom it's a realized knowledge? But Jiva Goswami in Vishwanath Thakur says that, yeah, we agree on this point, but actually, it's not that when material life ceases, then you get association of devotees. But actually, rather, it is when you get association of devotees, then material life ceases. And they give a very technical analysis. They quote different verses to explain that this is a very typical example where the expression coming from Muchukunda is he wants to emphasize the association of devotees so much that he has told the effect first and cause later. So that's a technical side of it. But Jiva Goswami Vishwanath Thakur says that actually material life cannot cease until one comes in the association of devotees. Whereas the verse says material life, when it ceases, then you come in contact with devotees. So they give their flavor and their twist in this verse. So what it leads to, or what it's supposed to lead us to, this association of devotees and how we actually become fearless, is when we start seeing things at least in 2 aspects. One is when anything wrong happens to us or forcefully is taken away from us, we must either see it as plan of the Lord for my betterment, or at least on a lower stage, we must see it as our karma. And it will happen to us. That gives a sense of relief to a person that either the Lord wants me to do it or I deserve it. Because the complaint comes when neither we deserve it and my plan is baffled also. So we are not able to see the plan of the Lord, and neither we are able to see that this is my own reactions from the past which is fructifying now. The higher understanding naturally for a devotee should be that, okay, this is what the Lord wants me to do it. I had tried my best. I had tried my sincere best in my capacity, and still, if something is taken away from me, or if the situation or a position or a person or a relationship is going away from me, then there is something in this which Lord wants me to do. And then fear should not come. Because as soon as acceptability comes, fear goes away. But on what basis acceptability will come? Is either we see it as Lord's plan, or this suffering which is being caused due to some separation is my own karmic reaction. Otherwise, it's very difficult to see the hand to actually overcome such principles and come to this very amazing stage of fearlessness in Krishna consciousness. 2 examples we'll discuss when we'll stop. In Srila Prabhupada's pastime, there's a very interesting walk Srila Prabhupada was doing in Calcutta, where he's taking his disciples. This is a funny pastime, but the other pastime is very instructive also. So this particular pastime, Srila Prabhupada is walking with his disciples, and Srila Prabhupada shows his school building. And Prabhupada is now 74 or 5 maybe in that time. And then Prabhupada says to his disciples, "Oh, you see this school building? When I was a kid, I would just climb the building, not the stairs, the building itself. As a child, I would just climb the building." And the devotees told Srila Prabhupada, "Oh, Prabhupada, when you were young, you were so fearless. Otherwise, how can you climb a building from the front? It's very risky actually." Then devotees said, "Oh, Prabhupada, you were so fearless when you were young." So Prabhupada turned to them, "So, do you mean I'm not fearless now? A 70-year-old man with nothing coming to your country to establish international society for Krishna consciousness, is that not something which can be done if you're fearless?" And then just, "Oh yes, devotees." All the devotees said, yes, Prabhupada, you are even fearless now also." And then Prabhupada explains why I am fearless. Because I know everything is plan of Krishna. Everything is happening by the will of the Lord. We hear this statement so many times, not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Lord. But all the time what we are trying to do is move the blade of the grass. All our attempts in our life is nothing but to move the blade of grass. And then we say, nothing moves without the will of the Lord. Not even a blade of grass moves without the will of the Lord. But as soon as this acceptance comes, that yes, it's the will of the Lord which is moving it, immediately there is a relief. There is a relief in the heart. The other pastime is from Ramayana. And the Lord Ram himself shows this, how to actually behave in situations which are out of our control. Now Lord Ram is very famously known as a son who loved all the 3 mothers, his own biological mother, not biological for the Lord, but in that Leela at least, which is Kaushalya, Kaikeyi and Sumitra, the other 2 mothers also, wives of his father, equally. Rather, more love he gave to Kaikeyi and Sumitra. And simultaneously, they also loved Lord Ram more than their children. And now, he and Lord Ram is a kind of brother who would go to any extent out of love for his brothers, for his father, for the praja, for everyone. Now, this particular Lord, when he saw this situation, the day he was going to be coronated, Kaikeyi comes and just tells Lord Ram that your father will not be able to speak because Dasharath was very down and she had taken 2 promises. It's a very famous pastime. That you go to the forest for 14 years and Bharat will become the king. When Lakshman heard this, that Kaikeyi has said this particular point and Lord has agreed and Dasharath did not speak a word, you know what was Lakshman's reaction? He said, "I will go and kill that lusty man now." Who is that lusty man he's talking about? He's talking about Dasharath, his own father. Lord Ram said, "Come on, you're talking about your father. Speak properly." He said, "No, it is the duty of a Kshatriya to fix things in the kingdom if it's going wrong, even if it is your father." And Lord Ram says, "No, you can't think and talk like that. He's our father. Don't speak like that." So Lord Ram is explaining to him, but then Lord Ram gives a very amazing point. If applied in our lives, it can give us so much relief from anxiety, fear, depression, whatever. Lord Ram said, and this is for those people who are doing their bit, not for someone who is trying to cheat or whatever, but someone who is their sincere ways they are trying to serve, it's applicable to them. So Lord Ram said that in my mind also never ever I have ever seen these 3 mothers as separate. I have treated them equally. In my mind also I have never seen Bharat as my competition for the kingdom. I have seen him as equal to me. I have seen you, Lakshman, as equal to me. Never ever in my mind this corrupt thought came that I want to rule the kingdom. Then he said, but still, if I have been banished to go to the forest for 14 years and I cannot be the king, then it must be the will of the providence. It must be the will of the Lord. Because from my side, I never remember doing anything wrong. So if still it is happening, then we should accept it that the Lord wants us to act like that. He is the Supreme Lord Himself. It's His desire. Everything He is planned. But by His example, He is showing this very interesting point, that if we have not caused a problem to occur, and if it is still happening, a devotee must see that it is will of the Lord. Whether it's losing people, relationship, money, property, whatever. And we see again in Srila Prabhupada's example, he has shown this again and again, that when the final money investment he had, which he invested in Allahabad factory, which was burned down to ashes, that 7,000 rupees Srila Prabhupada had, which he burned down, this very same reply Srila Prabhupada had. Okay, it's Krishna's desire, and when he is very favorable and kind to someone, he will take away whatever they have. He will take away what a devotee has, so that we can just be Krishna conscious fully. So it's a very amazing way of dealing with situations if seen in proper light. It really relieves. It takes a lot of stress which comes from fear, anxiety. A lot of anxiety goes down for a devotee. And to make that happen, the association of devotees is the way. And the remembrance of Krishna is the way. I'll stop here. If any question or comments or any correction anyone has.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the nice class. Prabhuji, you mentioned that we should be fearless, like we see in the case of Prahalad Maharaj. But Prabhu, we see some fears are very essential in our lives, so that we can do the needful to protect us from the dangers lurking around us. Like Prabhupada says that the 3 deadly gates to hell, like lust, anger, greed, we should make a healthy fear against them, because they can become sometimes tempting. So how do we understand these points?
I did mention briefly on that not every fear is wrong. Some fears are very, very healthy fears. As always, Radhanath Maharaj makes this point, that one should be very fearful of what if I have no association of devotees. There is another fear a devotee can have. What if nobody is interested in my spiritual progress? Just think about it. Actually, there is no devotee in this world who is interested in your spiritual progress. What will happen? It's actually thinking only you get very fearful. What if that happens? That there is nobody who is interested in my spiritual progress. Actually, it's very scary to just think like that. To see ourselves in no devotee association, it is so fearful. It was too scary to think. And yes, then one should be fearful of sinful activities. One should be fearful of offending other devotees. One should be fearful of all the offenses, the holy name, towards the holy name. And these are healthy fears. So fear has its place if properly utilized. And as soon as this fear is vimukh or separate from Krishna or the goal of attaining Krishna, then this same fear leads to depression. Whereas this fear leads to liberation. All these fears, the healthy fears, are cause of liberation, and all the fears which are materially attaching us leads to depression. Serious anxiety. And we see in people's life, my God, what all anxiety people go through. Is it okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yes, bro.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the nice class. You mentioned that the best mentality that we should have when we have shortcomings in our life is to see as the Lord's mercy or what Krishna is. Then how do we prevent ourselves from having that mentality and not, having a reflective or kind of corrective kind of thought on what the mistake was that we committed?
Yeah.
How we can actually change that?
Yeah, it's a very important question. It's not that we just, anything that happens in our life, we just say, Krishna wants me to do, and we don't do anything about it. And that's why I mentioned a quick disclaimer I gave, that the Lord Ram's pastime applies to someone who has done their part the best they could. Mostly in our cases, our part is not done. Mostly, majorly, our part is not done. And then if anything wrong happens, then it's very important to be reflective. And to be reflective is also connected to that same fear we are talking about. If whoever is not fearful of, whoever does not have positive fears will not be reflective, actually. Whoever does not have positive fears of losing devotee association, losing Krishna consciousness, losing service, they will not be reflective. They will not try to fix things. It's as simple. A person only that person will be reflective, who is very keen on improving one's life. So being reflective is very essential. But still, we'll come to a stage where we have done everything from our side the best we could. And then also the situations are not the way we thought it will be better to serve Krishna. That is the time when one must see, okay, this is what Krishna wants me to do. That is the time one must see. Because if that time also you don't see, then you will fall into the material category and it will force you to go to depressive state. It will force you. There is no choice then. So, as last time I was mentioning, either we do a service right, or we learn how to do a service right. So, we don't have the third choice of not doing service. Is it okay? Anything you want to add? Anything else, or we finish? Yes, bro.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for the nice class. Prabhu, early on you mentioned that Shakti was acting, the Leela Shakti was acting on all the demigods, and even Lakshmi Devi. This is why they were in the fear of the Lord, But Prahlad was not in fear of the Lord. But Lakshmi Devi, is she not a pure devotee of the Lord as well, like Prahlad, or is it different?
Yeah, even Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma is also pure devotee. But Leela Shakti specifically mentioned in context of Lakshmi Devi here. But the part of the Leela Shakti is that the Lord wanted to be pacified by Prahlad's prayers only. So the pastime potency of the Lord has already, based on the desire of the Lord, has decided this is how the Leela will be. This is how the Lord wants it to be. So no matter who you are and what you want to do, you cannot just interfere. You'll have to stick to the plan of the Lord. So because Lord desires it. And the beauty of this pure devotee is that, of these great devotees, is that because they understand the desire of the Lord, they just back off. And they let the plan of the Lord roll out. And that makes them the greatest or the best devotees who they actually are. For us, the issue is, even if someone comes and tells us this is the plan of the Lord, we still want to move the blade of the grass. We don't wait for the Lord to move it. We want ourselves to do it. What about my choice? What about my freedom? What about me? But these great devotees, they back off. Okay, this is how the Lord wants. Imagine Lakshmi Devi gets upset with Narayan. Why you created such a situation? Me, your wife, can't even come and talk to you. Just think about it. And there is a fight between Lord Narayan and Lakshmi later. that what type of husband you are. I am massaging your feet day to night, every day from thousands and thousands of kalpas, and you made me so fearful I can't even come close to you. I'm not talking to you. That will not happen. That will not happen. Can you tell your Leela Shakti to at least not work on me? It is such that the Lord's potency worked on Balram also. On Balram also, when Krishna stole the calves, Brahma stole the calves and the cowherd boys, and when Krishna transformed himself into the calves and cowherd boys, for 1 full year, even Lord Balram, who is the immediate next expansion of Krishna, could not even figure it out. That's why it is said, Ekala Ishvara Krishna ar sarva bhritya. Yare se yaise nachaye se taiche kare nritya. Only Ekala, only one supreme controller, Ishvara is Krishna. Rest, everyone is Bhritya, servant of him. Yare se yaise nachaye. The way Krishna wants to dance, make you dance, you just dance. Se taiche kare nritya. Everyone just dance to that tune. Even Balram, can you imagine? The whole spiritual world, all Vishnu forms coming from Balram, bewildered for 1 full year. And when Balram understood that he is bewildered, he came and told Krishna, I think something is wrong, and if I am bewildered, it has to be you, because no one else can do it. So can you tell me what is it? Even he could not figure out, even after understanding that he is bewildered. Then Krishna had to tell him, okay, this is what I have done. And so that's how the Lord's energy works. Is that okay?
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, you mentioned in the answering the question that Krishna is the only one supreme controller, but Krishna says the gopis is the highest, like they are above me also. They can control him, so then how should we understand?
Yeah, so if Krishna is the only master, rest everyone is servant. So Krishna is controlled by his devotees, right? So Krishna gives them the right to control them. Otherwise, they cannot forcefully go and control Krishna. They control Krishna by their devotion to Krishna. They just have no control over Krishna by their position or power. So the devotion they have for Krishna, the love they have for Krishna, which is so unflinching, so unalloyed, so superior, that love of the gopis control Krishna. So that's a different control. That is exactly a control where an adult can get a slap from the mother and still not mind. I remember when I was in year 11, I could have, if someone comes and hits me on the street, you are strong in that age, you just can easily faint the other person if they come and give a fight to you. But I was getting late for my school. I was doing something else, and my mother came from the back. She gave me a slap. So I didn't go and retaliated with her. How can I didn't held her collar? How can you touch me? There is a loving exchange where even if I am more powerful, out of that loving exchange, the right is hers. There's just one example that came to my mind straight away. But of course, you understand the point, right?
Yes.
Is it okay? Grantara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Enam Kanvanda Maravindadalaya Taksham Bhagavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Agom Vigamaniya Vishesha Shobha Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami Angani Yasa Sakalen Priya Priti Man